As a serious runner, it's hard not to let each training run set the tone for the day, or feel less confident in yourself the longer you go without hitting a PR. This is why it's such a game changer to maintain hobbies and activities outside of running. There are so many ways to build up activities outside of running that you enjoy without putting tons of time and energy into it. So let's get into some of the hobbies that I've picked up, how I got started into each one, pros and cons of each, and how they've helped me stay motivated and positive while I've gone through setbacks in my running. First, crocheting. So I first learned crocheting from my mom teaching me how to crochet, but I also felt like Woobles kits were a really great way for me to get started. Pros of crocheting: it has a very satisfying end product. Completing each row feels like an accomplishment and comes with a bit of a dopamine hit. You can also make it as simple or as complex as you'd like. You can do little projects that take an hour, or big projects that take dozens of hours. You can also do different things at the same time, like watch TV, listen to a podcast, or listen to music. The cons of crocheting: it's a little bit harder to get started. There's a bit more of a learning curve. You have to learn the different types of stitches. It's also not free to start. You of course need yarn, hooks, maybe a learn how to crochet kit. I mentioned Woobles kits. I highly recommend starting with one of those if you've never crocheted before. They make videos that are very clear. The second hobby that I've taken up that's really been a distraction from running when it's not going exactly to plan is painting. So I especially love acrylic painting, but I also have done some watercolor painting. I love experimenting in just different styles. I'm not too worried about being absolutely perfect. I just like to capture the feeling or capture the thing that I'm trying to paint, and then maybe I'll hang it up on my wall after. One of the best pros is that you really don't need any experience. Even if you don't have training or techniques, you can still have fun with it and just see what comes out of it. All you need is a paintbrush, paint, and paper, and just go for it and see what happens. You can also, of course, get inspiration from things like Pinterest and look up tutorials online. So overall, I'd say it's a fairly easy learning curve, and you'll just keep improving the more you do it. A con of painting is it takes a lot of time to set up and take down. You'll definitely need watercolor paper or some other kind of mixed media paper that will actually absorb the liquid in the paint. If you use computer paper, I guarantee you will rage quit, so don't use computer paper, but just any paintbrushes. Your first box of paints will last you a while. The only color I would suggest maybe getting a few to start is white. Everything else will go a lot more slowly. If you really want to save money on paints, all you actually need is red, yellow, blue, white, and black. With those colors, you can make absolutely any color in existence, basically, so just get those 5 to start and see what happens. Just look up a little bit of color theory if you're not familiar. My third hobby I recommend is creating Notion pages. This one is a little bit less tactile. Maybe you don't want to get supplies and deal with all the setup and the learning and all that stuff. Notion is a free kind of note-taking planner app that you can get on your phone or your computer. It's very design-oriented, so like you can create pages within pages, so you'll have an aesthetic home page, and you can have lists like a movies list, book list, your to-do list, and just make everything pretty and themed, and honestly, completely unlimited potential with that. I just love making like new home pages that are conveniently linked to all of my most used pages. That's where I keep track of all the books I've read, all the movies I've watched, my favorite movies, maybe a planning page for a specific thing, like a wedding planning page, or I dare say a running training schedule could be in your Notion page. Pros of creating Notion pages: low barrier to entry. It's, I think, pretty easy to figure out. You can even look up tutorials if you're not sure how to use the different tools. Cons of creating Notion pages as your hobby: it's just there on your computer, so it just feels a little bit less real. Number 4 is doing research. Probably most people need a little bit more convincing on this one, perhaps, because you might be thinking, oh my god, I do research all the time in school or for my job, but hear me out. I feel like doing research as a hobby is a great way to kind of take control of what you learn about. Throughout so much of our lives, we're being told, research this and write a paper on this, or study this and be prepared to take a test. You never really get to choose, like, I'm enthusiastic about this one specific topic, I'm going to research and learn as much as I can about that topic. Maybe you want to learn about a band. I've done this many times with many bands, where I'll pick a band, I'll listen to their discography front to back, learning the band's history, where they formed, like just fun facts, things about them, like maybe conflicts. I feel like I just covered the pros. Cons are that they're not as solid of end products. Kind of like I said, they can feel a little bit similar to school. I find I have more of a time limit on that kind of thing. So like, I could paint for 3 hours, I could crochet for 3 hours. I could not just do for fun research for 3 hours. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't. So this one I would add maybe into a different hobby, just as a side thing, not maybe as your main thing. I think a lot of these ideas and kind of pros and cons apply to a lot of other hobbies as well. My main point here is to try to help someone out there find something that just is fulfilling, because your self-worth becomes attached to running so easily. I've been there to an extreme before, where every single practice decides if I'm in a good mood that day or in a bad mood that day, and it wasn't until I put more emphasis on just other things that bring me joy that I was able to detach my identity a little bit from running, my PRs, and how fast other people thought I was. Hobbies are underrated. Try to pick one up. You do not have to be good at it. I have quite a wealth of hobbies. So do let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I focus a lot on my channel on running mentality, like how to view running more positively. That's all for now. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace out.